Hello everyone and welcome back to DC Central, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down and reviewing both the latest episode of Batwoman and also the season premiere of Legends of Tomorrow Season 6, so let's discuss. So yeah, 2 in 1. The reason I'm doing this is because given the fact that I am doing my best to really keep up with the reviews again and, you know, really go back to the consistent video output that I used to do, I thought it'd be best to combine videos, and in this particular case combine my reviews for Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow, given the fact that they are now airing on the same night. So I will do them in one video together like this, and then I will keep my reviews for The Flash and Supergirl separate as they are on their own individual nights. That's kind of how I'm planning to do it. We'll see how it pans out. Maybe I'll split them up eventually, who knows. But for right now, I'm just going to stick and do Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow together in one video. Which I think is also appropriate, you know, given the fact they are on the same night. You know, it's kind of like a back-to-back thing. It's kind of cool to do back-to-back reviews in that sense. So yeah, Batwoman Season 2, Episode 12, and also Legends of Tomorrow Season 6, Episode 1. Batwoman, you know, I will just say I've not loved Batwoman so far this season. You know, I've done a couple of reviews for it, but my opinion on this season has been a bit shaky. I've kind of felt like the season has been trying to do a bunch of different things and not really majorly succeeding at any of them, and it also feels like it's a very indecisive season. It doesn't quite know what it wants to do. I do feel like that indecisiveness will come to an end due to, you know, what we see in this episode, but it's just been a bit of a messy season, and a bit of a messy transition for me personally, and I've just found the whole season and the story of it just a bit meh. And then with Legends, obviously this is the first episode of the season, but Legends can honestly go either way for me this year. I really like the concept. I like the you know, the theme. I like the aliens story. But who knows? I could honestly go either way with this, so we'll have to wait and see. So let's dive in first of all by talking about my thoughts on this week's episode of Batwoman. So Batwoman Season 2, Episode 12. This episode mainly focuses around the identity of Batwoman looking to be exposed by the Crows. They're able to find some evidence from a crime scene that involved Batwoman, and they're going to use that to cross-reference the DNA you know, registry to try and find out who is actually behind the mask of Batwoman. So this kind of puts Ryan's identity at risk, but at the same time, while Luke and Mary and also Sophie really want to preserve the identity of Batwoman and really want to protect her, Ryan is a lot more focused on just going after Black Mask and going after Angelique, who of course was still kidnapped at the end of the last episode. So you kind of have this dynamic where the team is kind of split into two, where you have Luke and Sophie particularly working to protect Ryan's identity, and then you also have Ryan working with Alice to find both Angelique and Ocean, who are both being held hostage by Black Mask, to help make the snake bite. Now these two storylines I thought were pretty decent. You know, I thought that having Ryan's identity at risk was something that, you know, every superhero with a secret identity has to face at some point. So we get it pretty early on here, but I thought it was actually pretty good, and I actually think they did a pretty good job of adding tension to it, you know, especially because you have Sophie, who in the last episode found out who Batwoman is. She knows it's Ryan, and she did have a conversation with Batwoman in this episode. She doesn't actually reveal to Ryan that she knows she's Batwoman. She hasn't had that conversation yet. But, you know, she does know who is under that mask, so I thought it was quite nice to see her and Luke working together to try and protect her, because even though her and Ryan aren't the closest, it's quite nice to see her, like, realise that, you know, she needs to protect her and protect Batwoman, protect the symbol, protect the legacy and whatnot. That's kind of that Luke brings up. You know, he says we need to protect this symbol and this legacy, you know, the Bat legacy for this city. We need to protect it, and I thought it was nice to see that kind of go through. And then on the other side, when you have Ryan and Alice teaming up to take on the False Face Society and Black Mask, try and save Angelique and Ocean, it's kind of a cool team-up dynamic, because you have, obviously, the hero teaming up with the villain, and, you know, Alice, I think, has had kind of a struggle this season to stay relevant. They obviously have tried to give her a bit more of a backstory, like even more of a backstory than what they gave her in Season 1. Like, she was very fleshed out by the end of Season 1, but they gave her an other element in this, kind of explaining, you know, her time on the island of Coriana and how she learned to become, you know, this assassin and whatnot, which I think is pretty cool. But we get to see her teaming up with Batwoman. You know, you've got Ryan, who's there to get Angelique, and then you have Ocean, you have Alice there to get Ocean. And I thought this was all really cool. You know, I kind of enjoyed their dynamic, their back and forth. You know, I've really enjoyed, even though I felt Alice has been a bit of an irrelevant character this season altogether and has struggled to feel relevant, she had some really great moments in these last couple of episodes, and particularly in this episode of showing her humanity. You know, the moment where she is about to be killed by who we know is Kane. She reveals that she remembers Ryan's mother, and you get to see those humanity emotions, you know, particularly between her and Ocean as well. Ocean really brings that out of her as well. So I enjoyed them teaming up and going after Angelique and Ocean. Very interesting where it ends up too, because obviously you have Kate basically about to kill Alice. We don't actually, it ends on a cliffhanger at this point. She is basically about to kill Alice, and Ryan just leaves her there, which is definitely bold. That's definitely an interesting move. I didn't expect anything like that. Obviously, Batwoman doesn't have a, you know, she does have a no-kill rule. At least, I mean, obviously Kate did. Ryan seems to be a bit more open to the idea of killing, especially, you know, in the likes of Alice. She does see her getting revenge. I can see a lot of people maybe having a problem with this, the fact that she left Alice to die, but I think the way I kind of read it and the way I think Ryan would justify it is that she's like, well, I'm not actually killing you. It's kind of like what Batman does at the end of Batman Begins. You know, at the very end of Batman Begins, where he's in the fight with Ra's al Ghul, and he says, you know, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. I kind of view it as that. You know, she's not actually actively killing Alice, but she's just choosing not to necessarily save her in this situation. So it's kind of interesting, you know, what they're going to do with this, and I'm very excited to see the next episode to see where this is going to go. Not only because I feel like Alice had started beginning to trust Batwoman, you know, was beginning to trust Ryan, and she just left her to die. But also, the person who's trying to kill her is Kate, so I'm very interested to see how that's actually going to develop. Obviously, she does get kidnapped and taken back to Black Mask's place at the end of the episode. So we'll see if there's any more kind of relationship dynamic between her and Kate explored there. Also, really cool tidbit as well, the mansion that Black Mask is in this episode is actually the old Arrow mansion from Arrow. It's the Queen mansion. If you are a fan of Arrow, which I'm sure you all are, I'm sure you probably noticed that, but it was just really cool and got me really giddy for a moment because I got to see the Arrow mansion again. But yeah, I really enjoyed both the storylines running simultaneously. I think they played off well with each other, and I just enjoyed that filling out the episode altogether, even if it wasn't the most exciting stuff. So another thing that happens in this episode is that Sophie actually discovers that Jacob has been taking Snakebite. This is obviously something that sort of happened majorly in the last episode. We saw Jacob had actually been taking Snakebite as it allows him to relive that memory of losing Beth, but in this particular reality, in his mind, he actually saves her. And, you know, I think this is an interesting development because, I mean, Jacob is another character who, a bit like Alice, has kind of struggled to feel relevant this season, and I'm not the biggest fan of Jacob's character altogether. I just don't find him particularly likable, and I guess he's not supposed to be the most likable character, but I just don't find him that investing either. Like, it's not like he's unlikable and, you know, interesting. I don't even find him that interesting, to be honest. But, you know, him taking the snake bite, it definitely added a bit more of a level to his character that wasn't there before, and Sophie finding out about that, I'll be interested to see where it goes. Again, it's nothing major that happens in this episode, but it's just something cool that I think could play out into something better and maybe make Jacob's character a bit more interesting, especially if he's going to stick around on the show. Now, the final scene of the episode, just before the very end, we see Angelique actually return to Ryan's place, or her and Ryan go back to her place together, and she basically asks Ryan to go into witness protection with her. She actually testifies to the GCPD, outing the False Face Society, and they're obviously going to protect her from Black Mask and his crew, and she basically asks Ryan to stay in protection with her, and obviously Ryan can't do that because not only is her life in Gotham, as she says, but also she's Batwoman. Now, this kind of suggests that Angelique leaves the show. Like, there is kind of like a goodbye scene between her and Ryan, that, you know, they have a hug and that's kind of the end of it. Which I didn't expect Angelique to leave so soon, but then at the same time, I guess she kind of had reached the end of her arc here, especially if she does need to go into witness protection. She's going to be gone for a while. I don't know if this is her leaving the show permanently. Like, I don't think this is the actress leaving the show. I'm sure she will come back either in a recurring role or maybe will come back in season 3. But this is kind of a goodbye scene for Angelique, at least for now, which is fine. You know, I wasn't hugely invested in Angelique's character, at least not yet. So we'll see what they do with her if and when they bring her back. Now, the one huge elephant in the room regarding this episode, which I have not really spoken about yet, is Kane. Kane finally returns in this episode, although this is not what I expected at all. So we kind of saw Kate at the very end of the last episode, and we kind of see that she's been held hostage by Enigma, which I'm guessing, like, you know, we've seen Enigma over the last few episodes. She's kind of Batwoman's version of the Riddler, but also not really. I don't really know why they called her Enigma, because, you know, the name Enigma would obviously suggest the Riddler, but she has nothing to do with the Riddler. But she also does have like a cane like the Riddler does. It's really weird. But anyway, she's been held hostage by Enigma, and we see her in this episode, and basically she is manipulated by Enigma to have her memories wiped and then restored, but she now believes that she is the daughter of Black Mask, of Roman Sionis. So she's now working for Roman and is, you know, basically dedicated to him because she believes that she is his daughter. So I guess this is how they're going to get around Kate returning. And they also do kind of suggest that she's getting a new face. Did I remember that correctly? Tell me in the comments if I'm getting that wrong. But I believe Roman states something about getting a new face, which I guess explains why she's going to look different, because obviously this is now Wallace Day playing her. Now, we don't get much of Kate in this episode. She is kind of just an assassin under a mask. Like, we don't actually see her face throughout this episode. We don't actually see Wallace Day. So, you know, it's not really a massive show for her. I'm sure we're going to see her more and more over the next few episodes, you know, in the remainder of the season. Hopefully they don't keep her behind the mask under Roman's control for too long, because I really want to see how the dynamic is going to be shaken up when she gets reintroduced into the Bat team, especially because I want to see what they're going to do with her and Ryan and how they're going to split the Batwoman identity. But either way, I'm just glad Kate's back, because it's been such a horrible back and forth this season about whether Kate's alive, whether she's dead. It's been really indecisive, and it just feels like the writers haven't known what they want to do. So now we know that Kate is officially back. We still don't really know to what capacity, but I'm glad she's back, and I hope this is something that sticks, and I hope that this is something that they can now just, you know, bring back and move forward, so we can actually get a consistent story this time for the back half of the season, and then also season 3. And I'm really excited to see what Wallace Day is going to do with the character. Like, she is super passionate about the role. She has been campaigning for herself to get this role as soon as Ruby departed, so she seems pretty happy to be in the show, so I'm really excited to see what we're going to do with her. So overall, Batwoman this week, not too bad, not the best episode ever, definitely not the best of the season. It's wasn't quite as good as some of the last episodes we've had, but I enjoyed it altogether. You know, it was a fun episode. I like the storylines we got, and, you know, the little tease that we got here with Kate was pretty cool. You know, we got a really cool fight scene between her and Ryan, so I'm excited to see more of it. A pretty good episode of Batwoman on the whole. Now, moving over to the season premiere of Legends of Tomorrow. This was an interesting episode for me going into it, because I thought, well, Legends for me can go either way. I'm either going to like this season or I'm going to hate this season, so let's see how it goes. So it kind of opens up and we see the Legends have kind of had a party, you know, by the end of season 5, and we kind of have this opening in London where they're all spread out across London. They go and find everybody, and they eventually end up in a bar with David Bowie. And this was cool, you know, the little thing they had with David Bowie, you know, kind of revealing he saw Sarah get abducted. It was pretty interesting, and, you know, it was just cool to kind of catch up with everybody in that way. And he actually had this videotape where he met Sarah at the gig from the end of season 5, and she reveals in that video message to David Bowie that she's actually going to propose to Ava, which I didn't expect. I didn't expect that to come out so quickly. You know, obviously the Sarah and Ava relationship is one of the best in the Arrowverse. They've been together for quite a while now, so it's really nice that they're actually going to get engaged, and I'm sure we're going to see the wedding come the end of this season. I just didn't expect it to come out like this, you know, I didn't expect it to sort of happen this way. But really cool opening in my opinion. I really enjoyed it, and, you know, the David Bowie sort of cameo and the song they had, and the song kind of plays in the end credits, I thought it was pretty funny, to be honest. One small little tidbit I did notice as well in this sort of opening scenes is there's a moment where it seems like Mick is almost taking charge, which I think is interesting, because obviously Mick is one of the only OG characters left on the show. The only OG legends who are still on the team are Sarah and Mick, and obviously with Sarah out of the equation when it comes to the legends at the moment, Mick is the only OG left. Now, it does seem like Ava is obviously taking up the leadership position on the team at the moment, which makes sense. She is definitely leadership quality. But I think it'd be cool if we kind of see Mick become a co-lead at this point, because Mick is an OG. You know, we don't have Ray on the show anymore. We don't have anybody else from the original team left apart from Sarah and him. It'd be nice to see him kind of take up a leadership position. Now, also, we do know that Dominic Purcell is leaving the show. I believe it was the end of season 7, so that's the end of next season, or at least he's leaving next season. So we've got him for a little bit longer, but I think it'd be cool to see him step up into that position, given the fact he is one of the only original legends still remaining on the team. But I don't think it's going to be a huge play though. Now, Sarah is of course abducted to an alien spaceship. We saw that at the very end of Season 5, and I thought this was actually really cool. I was expecting this to be a lot worse than it was, because Sarah being abducted to a spaceship, you know, it's a pretty wild, wacky concept. Not really for Legends at this point, I guess, but, you know, it's pretty cool to see her get abducted into the spaceship. And the spaceship design, even though it is basically one corridor and one control room, that's kind of all we see, it looks pretty good. Like, it looks pretty good for Legends, pretty good for, you know, the CW budget, and also the alien designs that we see, I actually really like, because they went very practical with it. They weren't CGI aliens. There is one CGI alien we do see on the ship. It's not the same alien that's controlling the ship. It's a different alien who's being held captive there. And that was CGI. But beyond that, the actual aliens that we are going to be seemingly dealing with in this season are actually practical, which I think is a really good way of doing it, because again, you don't have to spend money on CGI. Legends is already a pretty expensive show. It's already the most expensive show in the Arrowverse, so to kind of constantly having to pay for like alien CGI each episode, given the fact we are going to be dealing with, you know, aliens in different points of the timeline, it would be quite expensive quickly. So I'm quite glad that it's going with the practical route, and it kind of looks like Doctor Who. Like, if you've ever watched Doctor Who, a lot of the alien designs in that are always very practical, and they're pretty much just people in suits or puppets and whatnot. And this is a similar thing. They are just suits, but I think they look good. I think they work well, and they have like the CGI tentacles and stuff when they need to use the CGI, but for the most part they're just practical, and I think that works really, really well. And overall, I really enjoyed the alien spaceship scenes. I thought they looked good, I thought they played well, and again, they didn't look ridiculous or too stupid, which I think was a fine line to walk, so I think they really nailed all that. Now, a big reveal we got while on the spaceship, which I certainly did not expect, is that Gary Green, Agent Gary Green, who does return in this episode, is actually an alien, and he's been an alien the whole time. Yeah, I'm not a lover of this reveal. It felt very stupid to me, and it feels like a really annoying way to shoehorn Gary into the show. And it annoys me because I really liked Gary in the Season 3 when he first was introduced. Like, I thought he was a really funny character who came in, you know, every now and then just to kind of, you know, have these funny moments and whatnot. But as soon as they made him a consistent part of the show, they've just ruined the character, and he's just become a bit of a annoying one, really. And even though I really like the actor who plays him, and I think he seems really fun, and, you know, in concept I like this character, it's just they've overexposed him, unfortunately, and he's just become a bit annoying now. And throwing in this alien twist where he's been an alien the whole time, I mean, it totally fits Legends, to be honest. It totally fits this show currently. I just don't like it. I just don't think it works, and I just think it's really annoying, and it feels forced. And I mean, I do like the reference where one of the characters says, oh, his name's Gary Green, green alien, that makes sense, which I thought was pretty funny. But beyond that, Gary being an alien, it's just annoying, to be honest, and I'm kind of annoyed. Like, it doesn't majorly annoy me, but it's just one of those things where I was just like, of course he's an alien, you know? It's just one of those things. So we'll see what they do with it, but ultimately I just feel like this was a way to make Gary relevant in this season, which I wasn't really looking for. One really cool thing we got in this episode, though, is we have Ava actually talking to Nate about her plan A for actually getting Sarah back, and she was actually going to go straight directly to the DEO, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, we get a Supergirl reference here, which I thought was really good. I love it when we get references to the other Arrowverse shows, you know, it just makes it feel like it is a bigger universe and whatnot. And, you know, Legends and Supergirl isn't a crossover we see often. We're kind of a lot more, you know, Legends is typically pretty standalone. It doesn't really reference the other shows much, so it was cool to reference Supergirl, because Supergirl is often a bit like Legends in that it's quite standalone as well. So it was really cool to actually get that reference, you know, the fact that Ava was going to go to the DEO because, you know, she knew that she was dealing with aliens, and aliens is their jurisdiction, so she's going to go directly to them. And she also, you know, Nate name drops Alex as well, so really cool. I really enjoyed that Supergirl reference. Again, it just makes it feel like a bigger, you know, bigger universe, which we know this is, and it's just cool to get those connections. And the fact that Ava was willing to go to the DEO shows that the DEO were like this real force in the universe, which I really enjoyed as well. Obviously, we do see as well that she finds out the DEO had collapsed, which obviously happened at the end of Season 5 of Supergirl, so she couldn't actually do that, but still, really cool to get the reference. Now, we got a new member of the team introduced in this season, which was Esperanza Spooner Cruz. Now, this is a character we knew about. We knew she was being introduced in this season, and she seems to essentially be this alien expert, so I imagine she's probably going to be on the show for this maybe one season, or maybe she'll be in season 7 as well, who knows. I guess they'll have to wait and see how fans take to her, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But we got her in this episode, and she's essentially this kid. Well, she's not a kid anymore, but she was this kid who reported to a British tabloid that, well, not a British tabloid, it was just a tabloid, that she was abducted by aliens and they implanted some technology into her head and whatnot, and obviously she was never believed, and she's kind of living out in the sticks by herself remotely, and we have Behrad and Mick go and find her. And I have to say, I really like this character so far. You know, she seems really cool, really competent, a fun character, and a really appropriate one. Obviously, if we are dealing with aliens, it's pretty cool to have an alien expert on the show, you know, on the Wave Rider. And I enjoyed her performance. You know, she seems like a really cool character, a really cool actress to portray her, and she seems like she's going to have a pretty interesting dynamic with the team, because she seems pretty no-nonsense, and obviously the team is very much yes nonsense, so I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with her and her dynamic, who she ultimately sort of sides with, who she becomes friends with, who she doesn't necessarily maybe like. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with her. Again, cool character. I remember there were a lot of rumours, a lot of speculation and theories that perhaps this was going to be the Arrowverse's interpretation of Jessica Cruz, given the same surname. I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, I can understand where that reference comes from. Like, obviously, they do have the same surname, and we are dealing with space and aliens in this season, which is obviously within the Green Lantern wheelhouse. And obviously, we do know the Green Lanterns do exist in the Arrowverse, thanks to the end of Arrow with John Diggle finding the Green Lantern ring. So the Green Lanterns do technically exist in this universe somewhere, and we are dealing with space and aliens and whatnot. And maybe that'll come true. You know, maybe, you know, we do know Diggle is going to be on this season of Legends of Tomorrow at some point, so maybe there will be a connection. I don't know, but ultimately I don't really see it. But that aside, I think she's a really cool character, and I'm very happy to have her on the show. Now, I said I'd come back to the point of, you know, perhaps Spooner wouldn't stay around if fans didn't like her, and that brings me on to the character of Astra. Now, Astra seemingly leaves the show at the end of this episode, which I didn't expect. I thought she was going to stick around. I thought she was going to be a character who's going to be on the show forever now. But it seems like she's gone. It seems like she leaves this episode. You know, she says that, you know, she doesn't really want to get wrapped up anymore in the Legends BS, basically. And she's seems to be leaving, which, I mean, I don't think we necessarily need her on the show, especially when we've got Constantine. I don't think we necessarily need a character like her on the show if Constantine is going to stay around, which I'm pretty sure, you know, Matt Ryan's going to stay on the show till it ends now, because Constantine is so popular. Like, he's truly a fan favourite. And Astra wasn't a particularly loved character, especially in Season 5. So I think they wrote her out because they just felt like she was kind of an unnecessary character, and also, you know, she wasn't particularly loved. Because even when you have characters like Zari and Behrad, who, you know, I don't think Behrad is a particularly necessary character given the fact we do have Zari. I think Behrad is quite beloved by Legends fans at this point. I think fans really like him. They grew to like him a lot in Season 5. So he's sticking around, whereas I don't think Astra had that same love. So I don't know, maybe Astra's not gone, but I got the impression she was leaving at the end of the episode, and I think that might be why. So interesting to see her leave. Again, I don't think she is a necessary character to have on the show. She was cool to have last season, and she tied into the story, but now that she's kind of had her redemption and we've kind of wrapped up that whole storyline from the Constantine show as well, I think she can leave now, and we can just have Constantine continue to be on the show as he is. And the episode ends with Sarah seemingly being stranded on an alien planet. She's trying to make it through this wormhole with Gary to make it back into the time stream and come up with the Wave Rider. But she doesn't make it through the wormhole in time and ends up spinning out and heads towards this purple planet. I'm happy about this because I actually thought at this point, you know, when they were going through the wormhole, I thought, wow, is Sarah only gone for one episode? I thought they were about to pull what the Flash normally does, where, you know, Barry is gone for literally one episode and then comes back. You know, like when he went into the Speed Force and, you know, whatnot, where he was literally in there for one episode and then came back. Or like Flashpoint, where he was literally in the Flashpoint universe for one episode and then came back. I thought they were going to do that with Sarah here, but she actually does get spun out and ends up like hurtling towards this purple planet in the distance. So I do like that, because again, I thought they were about to just bring her back onto the team and she was only going to be gone for one episode, which I like the idea of the Legends being forced to work on their own without Sarah, because even Mick says, you know, nothing works without Sarah. So I like the fact they're kind of, you know, splitting up the team in that way. And we'll see what they do with this purple planet, whatever they do. I mean, I imagine it's pretty much they're going to be stuck on the ship most of the time. I don't think they're actually going to explore this planet much, but Still, I'm glad that it represents that Sarah is staying separated from the team at least for another episode. So overall, a pretty strong season premiere for Legends. Again, I was pretty worried going into it, pretty excited at the same time. I didn't know how this episode was going to go. I'm excited about this alien storyline. It looks fun. You know, at the end of the episode, we do see aliens disappearing into the time stream, so that's basically our setup for this season, is that there's going to be aliens appearing in different parts of history, so that's really cool. I'm excited to see that. And again, I really like this new character of Spooner Cruz. I can't wait to see what she does and what she brings to the team. And again, just keeping Sarah separated from the rest of the team, I think that worked well. And I'm interested to see, you know, when she's going to come back, but also what she's going to be getting up to in her own right. So overall, a very strong season premiere for Legends of Tomorrow. I didn't expect it to be this good. So let's hope they continue this consistency for the rest of the season, because I would really love a season of Legends of Tomorrow again. So there you have it, guys. There's my thoughts on the latest episode of Batwoman and the season premiere of Legends of Tomorrow. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on both of these episodes in the comment section down below, and also let me know what you think about me combining these two shows into one video like this. Obviously, if you like this, then let me know. If you prefer me to split them up, then also let me know. Just interested to hear your thoughts, and you know, I'm just trying this out, so make sure to let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments down below. And if you want to see more DC content and Arrowverse content just like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.